Hi, first graders. We're going to pause our second steps lessons for today, and we're going to do what's called a Mind Up lesson. Mind Up is going to teach us a little bit more about how our brains work and the different ways that we can use our brains to help us calm our bodies. So let's take a look at some information about our brain today to help us understand how our brains work and how the brain can control our emotions. Follow along. How do our brains work? Let's take a look at this slideshow to learn a little bit more about our brain. Did you know that our brains are muscles that we can exercise to help us become better thinkers and healthier people? Today, we're going to learn about how our brains are like a map that show us how we learn and why we behave the way we do. Exercising our brains help us calm ourselves, be more focused, and take control of our actions. Let's get started. These are the key players in the brain. We have the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the prefrontal cortex. We're going to continue on and learn a little bit more about each of those parts of the brain. The amygdala. The amygdala's main purpose is to keep you safe. It's the security guard, the fight, the flight, or freeze. Think about a time when you woke up in the middle of the night and heard a sound. That's an example of your amygdala keeping you safe. Think about what you did. Who can tell me what they think this means? Who can give me another example of when the amygdala took over? Can you think of a time where you were in maybe a little bit of a nervous or scary situation where your amygdala helped you make up a decision of how to be safe? Maybe you could share that with someone at your house today. Now, another key player is the hippocampus, and this part of our memory is the memory saver. When you smell cookies and think of your grandmother, that's the hippocampus at work. Is there a smell or sound that makes you remember something or someone? The third key player is the prefrontal cortex, and it is at the top or front of our brain, and it helps us make good, thoughtful decisions. We need to make sure that all parts of our brain are working together so that we can be calm and be strong thinkers. Another way to think about the prefrontal cortex is that it is the wise leader of our brains. This is why it's so important that we learn how to practice exercising our brains. Here is a picture of the amazing brain showing the prefrontal cortex here, the amygdala here in red, and the hippocampus here in blue. Getting to know and love your brain. Has anyone ever seen a calming bottle before? That's what is in our picture here. Imagine that your brain is like a calming bottle filled with glitter, water, and oil. When the amygdala is in fight, flight, or freeze mode, it's like a calming bottle that's been all shaken up and confused. What helps you calm down so you can think better? What helps you calm down? Think about something you can do to help your body calm down too. Did you say take deep breaths? I remember that from second steps. That also helps me calm down. Let's exercise our brain. Deep breathing helps us focus our attention and give lots of energy to our prefrontal cortex, or the wise leader. Everyone stand up with their feet apart. Cross one wrist over the other. Now slowly breathe in through your nose and lift your arms so they meet over your head. Now breathe out slowly. Bring your arms down and cross your wrist. Now try that 3 more times, breathing in and breathing out. There are some books to read that we can take a look at. Let's take a look at this book together called Breathe Like a Bear.
This is the checkers
I'll
game.
skip the ad as soon as I'm
Grandson
able.
and granddad will bond.
of hot chocolate in your hands. It's much too hot to take a sip right now, so let's blow on it to cool it off. Bring your cup up close to you, take a long breath in, and slowly, gently blow it out to cool off your hot chocolate. Once more, take a long breath in and gently blow toward your cup. Now take a tiny little sip of your hot chocolate and say mmm. Make the mmm sound last as long as you can. Take another tiny little sip of your hot chocolate and say mmm. Make the mmm sound last as long as you can. Now set your hot chocolate down in front of you. Take one more long breath in and just let it all the way out.
Did you enjoy that mindful moment of breathing and practicing while drinking some secret hot chocolate? I hope you enjoyed it just like I did. Now, we can always take a break and do our deep breathing to help us when we need to be mindful. Let's review what we've learned. The three key players of the brain. Remember, we have the prefrontal cortex that's in the front of our brains. We have the amygdala and the hippocampus. What does it look like when you flip your lid? Has there been a time in school when you flipped your lid? Maybe think about that for a minute. Think about you learning your spelling words. Is this a good time to have your amygdala in charge? When we get stressed or worried, stopping, taking a breath, and counting to 10 before we do anything can help our wise leader or the prefrontal cortex take over. I hope that you have learned something new about how our brain works and how we can use those three parts of our brain to control our emotions. Stop and think next time when you get frustrated or upset about how you can take deep breaths to calm your brain and body down too.